Everybody, I hope all is well at your end. We are in the 10th week of our organizational behavior lecture. We studied in the last lecture about leadership and some theories of leadership. In today's lecture, we will be talking about the contemporary issues in leadership and some leadership styles. And in the later lecture we will be talking about the contemporary issues plus some challenges to the leader. So we begin in the name of Lord, benevolent and ever sustainer. In recent years, organizations have gone through dramatic changes, including looser structures, downsizing, horizontal approaches to information flow. And on the other hand, these changes are due to rapid technological developments, global competition, and the changing nature of the workforce. On the other hand, these organization transformations and innovations are triggered by interventions such as total quality management and business processes re-engineering and others. So if we come to leadership contemporary issues, the first issue will be, of course, of trust. Why is trust important and what is it? Trust is very much important in leadership, and today everything is stand and stood on trust. If there is no trust, there is no move, there is no business, there is no relationship. Trust is a positive expectation that another will not, through words, actions, or decisions, act opportunistically. The two most important elements of our definition are familiarity and risk. If the positive expectation in our definition tells knowledge or assumes knowledge and familiarity about the other party. Of course, trust is a history-dependent process based on familiarity about the other party. It is a history-dependent process based on relevant but limited samples of experience. Of course, it takes time to form, building incrementally and accumulating. Most of us find it hard, if not possible, to trust someone immediately if we don't know anything about them. At the same, we can say in the total case of ignorance, we can say that we can trust someone unless we don't know him. But as we got to know someone and the relationship matures, we gain confidence in our ability to form a positive expectation. So the term opportunistic refers to the inherent risk in any trusting relationship. Trust involves making oneself vulnerable, as when, for example, we disclose intimate information or rely on another's promise. By its very nature, trust provides the opportunity for disappointment or to be taken advantage of. But trust is not taking risks as per, rather it is a willingness to take risks. So when I trust someone, it means I expect that they will not take advantage of me. This willingness to take risk is common to all trust situations. So there are 5 dimensions of trust. They can be integrity, they can be competence, consistency, and loyalty, openness. What is integrity? Integrity means honesty and trustfulness. It refers to honesty and trustfulness. Uh, this one seems to be most critical when someone evaluates someone's trustworthiness. There was a survey in a leadership, and there were 570 employees. They were given a list of 28 attributes related to leadership, and honesty or integrity was rated the most important uh, attribute of the leadership. Now, competence means an individual's technical and interpersonal knowledge and skills. Competence means that an individual's technical and personal skills. Uh, you you need to believe that the person has the skills, the abilities that he or she can carry out what he or she will do. Um, Third one is consistency. It is an individual's reliability. It's reliability and predictability and good judgment in handling situations. Consistency means nothing is noticed more quickly than a discrepancy between what executives preach and what they expect their associates to practice. It means what is expected and what they do. Is there a consistency or no? Loyalty is the willingness to protect and save face for another person. Trust requires that you can depend on someone not to act opportunistically. They have to trust you. And they do not have to take advantage of you. The last one is openness. Openness means that you can rely on the person to give you the full truth. Can you rely on someone that he can give you a full trust? So these are the 5 dimensions of the trust. I told you, without trust there is no leadership, and there is no leader. If there is a trust both on subordinates and both on the leader-follower trust should be built. There are 3 types of trust: deterrence-based trust, knowledge-based trust, and identification-based trust. Deterrence-based trust means that trust based on fear of reprisal if the trust is violated. If there is a violation in the trust, so there is a reprisal, there is a punishment for that. One violation or inconsistency can destroy the relationship. The trust can be destroyed. It is based on fear of reprisal if the trust is violated. Individuals who are in this type of relationship do what they do because they fear the results from not following through on their obligations. Deterrence-based trust will work only to the degree that punishment is possible. Consequences are clear and the punishment is actually imposed if the trust is violated. Most new relationship begins on a base of deterrence. Take as an illustration situation in which you are selling your car to a friend of a friend. You don't know the buyer. You might be motivated to refrain or to reject from telling this buyer all the problems with the car that you know about. Such behavior would increase your chances of selling the car and securing the highest price. But you don't withhold information. You openly share the car's flaws. Why? Probably because of fear of reprisal, of the punishment. If the buyer later thinks you deceived him, he is likely to share this with your mutual friend. If you knew that the buyer would never say anything to the mutual friend, you might be tempted to take advantage of the opportunity, and that is, of course, you lied to him. If it is clear that the buyer would tell and that your buyer friend, your honesty could be explained in deterrence terms. The second is knowledge-based trust. Knowledge-based trust means that the trust based on behavioral predictability that comes from a history of interaction. There is a history of communication, you and with him, or a leader and a follower. It's a trust based on the behavioral predictability that comes from a history of interaction. It exists when you have adequate information about someone to understand them well enough to be able to accurately predict his or her behavior. Knowledge-based behavior relies on information rather than deterrence. Knowledge-based, it is on information-based, not on deterrence. Knowledge of the other party and predictability of his or her behavior uh, replaces the contracts, penalties, and legal arrangements more typical of deterrence-based trust. This knowledge develops over time, largely as function of experience that builds confidence, of trustworthiness, and predictability. The better you know someone, of course, the more accurately you can predict what he or she will do. The last type of trust is identification-based trust. It is the very highest level of trust which is achieved when there is an emotional connection between the parties. It allows one party to act as an agent for the other and substitute for that person in interpersonal transaction. This is called identification-based trust. It is based on a mutual understanding of each other's attention and appreciation of others. These were the three types of trust. Now we come to some inspirational approaches to leadership. There are two families of leadership theory, and they are called Transformational Leadership and Transactional Leadership, and the core branch of Transformational Leadership is Charismatic Leadership. So what is Charismatic Leadership and why is it important? Followers make attributions of heroic or extraordinary leadership abilities when they observe certain behaviors. The word charisma is a Latin word which means gift. So charismatic leadership, it's a kind of special personality characteristics that gives a person a superhuman or an exceptional power or extraordinary power or extraordinary qualities, and he's reserved for a few that result in person being treated as a leader according to Weber. It is a charismatic leader acts in unique ways that have specific charismatic effects on their followers. They have some charisma داشته باشه یو قسم هغه خاصیت لري چې هغه کې هغه کوالټي وي چې فالوور هغه خپل فالو کوي هغه کې دومره charisma وي هغه کې داسې کوالټیز وي چې هغه هیلپر وي هغه اسسټنټ وي هغه تاسو سره چې ډېر زیات صمیمي وي فرندلی وي نو فالوور کوشش کوي چې د هغه هر خبره ومني او هغه کې د هغه charisma د هغه کې ښکاره شي او دی اکسپټ کړي هغه شی. So charismatic leadership transforms followers' self-concept. He tries to link identity to the followers to collective identity of the organization. He forged this link by emphasizing intrinsic rewards and de-emphasize extrinsic reward. یو خاصیت د charismatic leader دا دی چې هغه کوشش کوي چې په intrinsic rewards باندې چې دی هغه follower دغه کې motivate کی نه په extrinsic rewards باندې. Means that extrinsic rewards چې دی هغه نه prefer کوي هغه intrinsic rewards کېدلی شي هغه لپاره thank you, very glad you have done a well job, دغه شیان چې دي ته intrinsic rewards وي یا کېدای شي یو رانک ورته جیک کي دغه پوزیشن جیک کي او financial rewards دغه چې دی هغه de-emphasize کوي هغه نه دغه کې prefer کوي. Throughout the process, leaders express high quality of expectation for followers. They expect a lot from the followers, and he or she helps followers gain sense of self-confidence and self-efficacy. هغه کوشش کوي چې خپل followers چې دی هغه support کی هغه strengthen کی هغه empower کی هغوی کې self confidence راولي courage راولي او په خپل ځان باندې اعتماد حاصل کی. So this was all about charismatic leadership. Now we come to transactional and transformational leadership. Uh, Transformational. First, we will define transactional leadership. Transactional leadership are those leaders or leadership who guide or motivate their followers in direction of established goal by clarifying role and uh, task requirements. So, transactional leadership is the style best suited in the departments or organization where there is a routine and structure activities in the areas where business want to reduce chaos or inefficiency. uh, it take care of creating a consistent development process. uh, it is also known as managerial leadership. It focuses on the role of supervision. पर ट्रांजैक्शनल लीडरशिप की सुपरविजन ज़्यादा हुई, evaluation ज़्यादा हुई, monitoring ज़्यादा हुई, और the group performance पूरी check and balance ज़्यादा हुई पर transactional leadership की. The leaders who are implementing such kind of styles focus on specific tasks and use rewards and punishment to motivate followers. पर transactional leadership की चीज़ें आगा مهم دا دی چې rewards او punishment وي. که چېرته کار دی وکړلو نو reward دی، که چېرته کار دی ونه کړلو یا غلط شو درنه نو you have to see the punishment of that. This theory was described by the sociologist Max Weber and then explored by Mr. Bernard Bass in the early 1980s. In transactional leadership, rewards and punishment are contingent upon the performance of the followers. So, transformational leadership, on the other hand, inspire and motivate workforce without micromanaging, without check and balance. They are kind of leaders who provide individualized consideration and intellectual stimulation, and who possess charisma. The people who take care of you, and they provide you with consideration everywhere you need information. People who can inspire you, who can motivate you. Such kind of people are called transformational leadership. We will further explain it that transformational leadership in this type, the leader is attentive to the needs and motives of followers and tries to help followers to reach their fullest potential. In this style, the leader can inspire positive changes in those who follow. Transformation leaders are generally energetic, they are enthusiastic and passionate. They are not only involved in these leaders concerned and involved in the process, they are focused on helping every member of the group succeed as well. The concept of leadership was initially introduced by leadership expert, and he was a biographer by the name of McGregor Burns. According to him, the transformation leadership can be seen when leaders and followers make each other to advance to a higher level of moral and motivation. So, transformation leadership की ब्यादा से विचे leadership چې دی هغه خپل ټیم او ټیم ممبر چې دی هغه individuals هغه غواړي چې هغه جیګ شي، هغه ښه شي، هغوی ترقي وکړي. نو transformation leader دغه کوالټي ده. بیا transformation leadership چې دی نو مخکې لاړلو د ډیولپ کو چې یو بل تیوري ترېنه راغله، هغه Bass Transformational Leadership theory ده. Bass بیا ویل چې transformation leadership can be defined based on the impact that it has on follower. That there is a kind of trust, respect and admiration from their followers. کله چې followers خپل دغه چې دی leader هغه دغه respect وکړي، هغه admire کړي، په هغه باندې trust وکړي، نو دغه type of leaders چې دی هغه transformation leaders دي. As I told you before that transformation leadership is a leadership style in which leader encourage, they inspire and motivate employees to motivate and create change that will help grow and shape the future success of the company. په دې کې بله مهمه خبره دا ده چې لیډر ته د چینج یو دغه درکوي، د کریټیویټي یو چانس درکوي درته. هغه غواړي چې ته نوي آیډیاز سره راشي، نوي اوپینین سره راشي، خپل نظریات چې دی هغه سره شریک کړي، هغه ته ووایم، خپل مشکلات ووایي او هغه ته یو نوي توګه سره یو مشکل پیښ شي او ته ورته یو نوی لاره وښایې چې دغه نوي لار باندې کېږي. And he accepts that. That is called transformational leadership. So there are some components. Okay, one definition is left, that it is a process that changes and transforms individuals. It's a process of engaging with others to create a connection that increases the motivation and morality of both the leader and the follower. What are the characteristics of transformation leadership? According to Bass, he says that we can transform leadership that sets them apart from other leadership styles, and they can be a leader can be variated, can be differentiated from such hallmarks, and we can differentiate a transformation leader from another type of leader, just like transactional, autocratic, laissez-faire, and others. A transformation leader is someone who encourages the motivation and positive developments of the follower. He is the one who exemplifies moral standards with the organization and encourages the same of others. He becomes the role model. He خپل یو ځان چې دی نمونه ګرځوي، خپله داسې کار کوي چې هغه نمونه وګرځېږي او followers چې دی هغه بیا follow کړي. He fosters an ethical work environment with clear values, priorities and standards. هر څه خپل یو structure یو environment یې ورته جوړ کړی چې هغې کې values clear وي، هغې کې priorities چې دی څه اولویتونه دي او څه چې دی standards دي. نو دغه characteristics دي. بل خبره پکې دا ده چې هغه د کمپنی کلچر چې دی هغه انکریج کوي، سیلف انټرست چې دی هغه دغه کوي باندې یو کلچر دی چې هغه لري کی سیلف انټرست، بلکې دلته سیلف انټرست باندې کار ونه شي، دلته ګروپ انټرست باندې کار وشي. هغه په اتنټیسټي باندې ډېر زیات توجه کوي، په کوآپریشن باندې او په اوپن کمیونیکیشن باندې چې خپل اتنټیسټي کار باید ښه صحیح وي، یو بل سره مرسته وشي او خبرې چې دی هغه واضحه او کلیر وشي، هغې کې امبیګویټیز نه وي، هغې کې داسې څه نه وي چې هغه سبا مبهم شیان ترې راوځي یا ریزلټ چې دی هغه خراب راوځي. په دې کې لیډر چې دی هغه کوچ وي، هغه منټر وي، خو یوه خبره پکې دا ده چې کوچ او منټر وي خو ډیسیژنز لپاره چې دی دوی ته هم موقع ورکوي او د خپل کارونو چې دی دغه اخلي، اونرشپ اخلي او خلکو ته هم چې دی هغه چانس د ډیسیژنز ورکوي. څلور آیز دي په دې کې چې هغې ته 4 eyes of transformation leadership ویلی شي. Bass suggested that there were 4 different components of transformation leadership, and they are called 4 eyes of transformation leadership, and they are called idealized influence, inspiration, intellectual stimulation, and individualized consideration. Why are they called 4 eyes? But each component is started with I, idealized, inspiration, intellectual, individualized. So the first is idealized influence. Idealized influence means that provides a vision and sense of mission. He instills pride, he gains respect and trust. The transformation leaders serve as a role model for followers because followers trust and respect the leader. They emulate this individual, and he internalize his or her ideas. This refers to the way in which transformation leaders exert their influence at the group. These leaders are deeply respected by their team due to the example that they set for others. I told you that they become a role model خپل ځان یو model یو نمونه ښيي. They provide a clear vision and a sense of belonging which encourages individuals to buy into the long-term objectives of the organization, and they drives to achieve those goals. So these individuals act as a powerful role model, and their followers copy. They imitate them as they wish to become a leader based around the example set. Now, the third one is inspirational motivation. Inspirational motivation, they communicate high expectation. They use symbols to focus efforts, expresses important purposes in the simple ways. Inspirational motivation, they have also clear vision. They can articulate to the followers. These leaders are also able to help followers experience the same passion and motivation to fulfill these goals. They play an important role in the improving performance by working to raise through team morale, through motivational techniques, and acting as inspiration for their followers. They are happy to communicate their high expectation to individuals, followers, and then motivate them on a singular level of gain their commitment to a shared organizational or team belief. When the individual is committed to organizational goals, it intrinsically encourages them to work harder to reach the objectives. When combined with the individual influence that transformation leaders exert, inspirational motivation helps make up these leadership charisma. The next one is intellectual stimulation. They promote intelligence, the rationality, and the careful and problem solving. Intellectual stimulation means they are not only challenge the status quo, they also encourage creativity among the followers because they are encouraging intelligence. They explore new ways of doing things and new opportunities to learn. They create a diverse and open environment within which they encourage others to innovate and to form new ideas from the organization and themselves. And the last one is individualized consideration. So they gives personal attention. They treat each employee individually. They coach and they advise. These kind of leaders are involved in offering support and encouragement to individual followers. Every individual, they care for them and they support them. They are actively working to create a diverse environment and supportive environment where individual differences are respected and celebrated. They will know each of their followers individually, and of course he or she will listen to any concerns or needs that their team members may have. They will act like a mentor and coach for team members, working to develop, empower, and inspire them to achieve more and to become more motivated. These were the four transformational leadership, or they can also be called the components. Now we come to transactional leadership. What is transactional leadership? It is the exact opposite of transformational leadership. Transformational leadership was helping, assisting, inspiring, motivating, while transactional leadership is motivating plays through rewards and punishment. There is a kind of nisbat and tanasub between reward and punishment. If you do some work, you will be rewarded. If you don't do it, there will be a punishment. It requires supervision, oversight, organization, and performance monitoring. Transformation leadership ki bia da khabar na wa alta open decisions او open communication والته supervision کم و الته چې دایم monitoring کم و الته focus په goals او الته focus چې دی یو قسم chain of command و خو په transactional کې چې دی دلته supervision زیات دی دلته reward زیات دی punishment زیات دی. بل خبره په دې کې په transactional leadership کې دا چې دلته خلک عموما په extrinsic rewards باندې چې دی motivate کیږي او په Transformational Leadership کې بیا په دغه باندې په intrinsic باندې چې دغه motivate کېدل. It's also called managerial leadership. Transactional leadership is second name for this is managerial leadership. It focuses on the role of supervision, organization, and group performance. Leaders who implement this style focus on specific tasks and use rewards and punishment to motivate followers. This theory was described by Max Weber, who was a sociologist, and it was then further explored by Bernard M. Bass in the early 1980s. In transactional leadership, reward and punishment are the contingent upon the performance of the followers. If the performance is good, you will be rewarded. If the performance is low, you will be punished. The leader views the relationship between manager and subordinate as an exchange. You give me something for something in return. Mata څه راکړه او زه به بیا څه درکړم. دلته means an exchange of just like a barter system. چې ته څه راکړې راته زه به هم څه درکړم. نو که چېرته subordinate follower څه ورکړي ورته, leader به هم ورته in return یو څه ورکړي. دې کې criticism دا دی چې their followers are not encouraged. They are not supported. They do not find new solutions to the problems. So these are the criticism. دا په کوم وخت کې چې دا په کاریږي نو عموما دا چې دا کله چې problems چې دا simple وي او هغه مخکې نه problems defined شوي وي نو بیا transactional leadership چې دی هغه مهم کېدلی شي یا important کېدلی شي. Assumptions د transactional leadership چې دی د هغه خلک چې ښه کارونه ادا کولی شي when there is a definite and clear chain of command. مونږ وایو چې دا هم یو assumption دی چې خلک punishment او rewards باندې motivate کیږي. یو فرضیه ده په خبره بله دا ده چې د لیډر خبره به منل کیږي. هغه chain of command خبره ده. په دې کې بله خبره دا ده چې followers یا subordinates چې دی هغه به مانیټر کیږي. نو دغه څلور assumptions دي چې کیږي. اوس راځو یو څه differentiations وایو چې څه differentiation دي. په transactional leadership کې دی هغه transactional leadership کې هغه responsive دی, ډېر زیات زر ځواب ویونکی دی, while transformational leadership is proactive. هغه responsive دی دا یو active یو proactive وي. په transactional leadership کې کارونه چې دی د organizational structure culture من په دغه کې کیږي, په احاطه کې کیږي. خو په transformation کې بیا چې دی نوی ideas راځي. organizational culture کې دی شي هغه destroy شي, هغه ختم شي, هغه خراب شي او new ideas راشي. بله خبره پکې دا ده چې په transactional leaders چې دی هغه organizational objectives through reward او punishment چې دی هغه achieve کوي. خو په transformational leadership کې چې دی هغه empowerment یا motivation چې دی هغه trigger کوي چې goal achieve شي. په transactional leadership کې چې دی followers چې دی هغه د په خپل هغه چې دی motivates followers by appealing to their own self-interest, while the transformation leadership motivates followers by encouraging them to transcend their own interest. هلته خپل interest مهم دی, دلته د leadership interest مهم دی. راځو emotional intelligence ته. emotional intelligence هم چې دی یو key role ادا کوي په leadership کې. ځکه چې مونږ وایو, مونږ په تیر درسونو کې هم وویل چې emotional intelligence چې دی په خپل emotions باندې, په خپل feelings باندې, په خپلو جذباتو او احساساتو باندې او د نورو په احساساتو دغه باندې احساساتو باندې چې دی هغه کولی شو چې قابو راولو او کنټرول کو. نو دغه قسم لیډرز چې دي هغه ډېر زیات اکټیو وي, هغه ډېر زیات افیکټیو وي او دغه ښه لیډران وي. نو په ایموشنل انټیلیجنس کې عموما 5 خبرې راځي چې هغه سلف اویرنس ته ځان به خبرېږي چې زه څه کوم څه کیږي را سره. سلف مانجمنت هغه خپل ځان مانج کولی شي، خپل ځان موټیویټ کولی شي، همدردي د خلکو سره کولی شي، او سوشل سکلز هغه چې دی زیات وي، خلکو سره راشه درشه خبرې چې دی هغه ډېرې قوي وي. څه رولز دي چې هغه کنټمپرري رولز دي په لیډرشپ کې یو لیډر ادا کولی شي. هغه کېدلی شي چې از ا لایزن کېدلی شي، از ا ټربل شوټر کېدلی شي، هغه مانیجینګ کنفلیکټس کولی شي، هغه کوچ کېدلی شي. مونږ یو دلته 2 دانې راخلو چې منټر دی. منټر وی ټیچر ته، منټر وی رهبر ته، یو کوچ ته. دا څوک وي؟ a senior employee who sponsors and supports a less experienced employee. دا هغه کس دی، یو منټر دی، هغه سینیر امپلوي وي خو هغه سپورټ کوي هغه کس چې هغه نیو وي یا less experienced وي. نو کم activities کولی شي؟ they can present ideas clearly, they can listen well, they can empathize، همدردي وکړي، share experiences، خپل رول ماډل جوړ شي، share contacts, and he can provide political guidance. Successful mentors are good teachers. They can present ideas clearly, they can listen well and emphasize with them, empathize with the problems of their the subordinates, we can call them. Mentoring relationship have been described in terms of 2 broad categories of function. They can be career functions and psychosocial functions. Another is attribution theory. It is a kind of a challenge to the leadership construct. Attribution theory is concerned with how individuals interpret event and how this relates to their thinking and behavior. It was presented by Haller in 1958. He was a psychological theory. He proposes a psychological theory of attribution. Then some other researchers like Wenner, Jones developed a theoretical frame that has become a major research paradigm for social psychology. The idea that leadership is merely an attribution that people make about other individuals. Attribution theory assumes that people try to determine why people do what they do. Example, they attribute causes to behavior. A person seeking to understand why another person did something may attribute 1 or more causes to the behavior. There are 3 stages underlying attribution theory. The person must perceive or observe the behavior. Second, then the person must believe that the behavior was intentionally performed. And thirdly, then the person must determine if they believe the other person was forced to perform the behavior, in which or not they attributed to the other person. Attribution theory attempts to explain how individuals interpret events and messages. How he interpret سرقم هغه چې د خپل interpretation کوي، د هغې ترجمه کوي، خپل خیال کې راولي، هغه نه اخذ کوي the message نه یا the event نه. They provide evidence that we attempt to predict others' behavior by attributing their actions to known events. It means that how do we attach meaning to others' behaviors or our own? This is called attribution theory. For example, someone is angry because they are bad-tempered or because something bad happened to them. So this was all about today's lecture. I hope you have gained something. If you have got any problem in these 3 theories, attribution, transformational, and transactional plus trust building. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.